Okay, so today we're reviewing Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15. My name is Ed Bo, and welcome to Ed Bo to Ed Reviews. We're reviewing Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15. It's directed by a fellow by the name of Takashi Nozu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't actually speak Japanese. This is the prequel to the newly released video game Final Fantasy 15. It's newly released at the time that I'm recording this video. It was released today. It's set in the same universe as Final Fantasy 15, which is a much more modern take on Final Fantasy than we've ever seen before. Gone are the more fantastic slash steampunk elements of the game, and it's set in a modern world where people drive very modern looking cars and very modern looking trucks and things like that, despite still having airships and stuff like that. Okay, so the characters, principally, you have a character named Nyx, who is a Kingsglaive. Kingsglaive are sort of like a special forces in the kingdom the kingdom is called Insomnia. This is a Final Fantasy game, okay? So the kingdom is called Insomnia. Insomnia is your base city where this particular movie takes place. And the Kingsglaive are elite soldiers who have magical ability which they gain directly from the king himself. So it's not their own magic they're using the king's magic. The next principal character is this guy. He's the king. His name is King Regis, and he's a king who's juggling a lot. There is an empire, Niflheim. I think that's called Niflheim. Niflheim, they are the world's aggressors. They're trying to conquer everything under the sun, including Insomnia, and most of the Kingsglaive are actually refugees from other kingdoms that are either under the protection of, yeah, my computer is trying to talk to me. They're either under the protection of Insomnia, or they've already been conquered by Niflheim. So most of the Kingsglaive are refugees. Then you have Princess Lunafea. She is a woman who comes from one of those kingdoms that actually did get conquered by Niflheim. She's not a refugee, she's more of a political prisoner. Then you have the Empire of Niflheim themselves, who are general purpose douchebags. They're Final Fantasy, bad guy villains that you will eventually fight in the third act of the video game. Um, so the actual movie, the beginning of the movie, it's action packed, but it's a bit confusing and hard to follow. It sets up some complex political situations involving how do the refugees feel about Insomnia, how do the Insomnians feel about the refugees, how do people feel about the fact that their how do the people feel about the fact that their kingdom is primarily protected by people that need protection from them? And the action is, like I said, it's hard to follow sometimes in a very Transformers Michael Bay kind of way. Big action with the camera too close in. Um, the political situation gets even more complicated. Only now can you tell who the main characters of the story actually are. In the beginning of the story, you actually have an issue where multiple characters are thrown on screen at the same time, and you don't know which ones are the main characters and which ones are the supporting characters because in that opening sequence, they're all given equal weight. Only in the middle of the story do you realize that the main character, this guy Nyx, is the main character of the entire story. Okay, so now the ending. The ending, there's a boatload of action just like at the beginning, and the problem I was mentioning before gets amplified. Too much of the action is huge, big, huge, epic action that is shown with the camera way, way, way too close. So it's very hard to tell what's going on. It's very point of view-ish. It's very video game-ish. All of the politics and maneuvering comes to a head, and now the real setup of the game begins. This is clearly the part of the movie where they are setting up the political situation that will be the political situation you'll be dealing with in the game itself. So the conclusion. Well, the upside is beautiful animation. It's stunningly what do you call it? The graphics are beautiful. They're amazing. And the motion capture it's perfect. It's we're at this point, motion capture is something that's done really, really well, and this is on par with that. But still, looking at this, there are times when it's hard to realize you're not looking at real actors because with motion capture, you are looking at real actors. The action is big, it's epic, and it's very JRPG like. This is a beautiful commercial for a game. The downside, again, as I said, sometimes the action is hard to follow, with the action being, too big for the camera to be that close. The political points of views of some of the characters are a bit off. They hold incompatible opinions on somewhat related issues. This is something that I've seen before in JRPGs. It seems to be a thing where it's almost like, how could I explain this? It's like people will be on. Imagine if you have two. Take a situation like World War II. Imagine someone hating the Germans, and so they side with the Japanese. The Germans and the Japanese are on the same side. Why would you do that? That's the sort of thing that happens a lot in JRPGs. They hate the Germans, but they think that the Europeans and the Americans aren't going to do anything for them, so they'll side with the Japanese, who are allied with the Germans. It's a strange way of thinking that happens a lot in JRPGs, and it happens here. Um, the editing is also a bit choppy. So the final score, as a movie, it's 3 stars, 3.5 stars. I give it 3.5 stars. I had a good time with it, and I'm an animation nut, so I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. As a promotion for the game, it's a solid 4 stars. It's not a 4 star movie if you're not going to play the game afterwards. I'm not sure it's a 3.5 star movie if you're not going to play the game afterwards. I'm going to play the game afterwards. In fact, as soon as I'm done filming this, I'm going to play the game and start the game fresh. I'll be reviewing the game probably when a couple of months when I beat it. But so 3.5 stars for regular people, 4 stars for gamers. Um, Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy 15. Thanks for watching.